Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. We got the wiring in here done mostly. Well, I say mostly. You'll notice that I'm missing two 110 volt plugs, sockets. I think I know where they are because whenever I put my little four-way box back here, that's them. So I kind of forgot what I was doing and just grabbed two of them that were laying around, and they just happened to be the ones that were supposed to be in the lean-to. Oh well, life. It'll be all right. I'll get some more. But since we're on here talking about Cub Cadet stuff, let's check this out. This is something that I said I was going to do. I wanted to put a little switch here. That way. So I just kind of made this just with some sheet metal laying around. It works out pretty good. What I wanted to do, I've got these switches. I got these things in England in like 1996 or 97 or something. I actually went to a kit car show there, and they had a whole bunch of vendors with parts to make your little kit cars, and this one vendor had some switches, and they were really, really nice. If I'd have known then what I know now, I probably would have just bought out his entire collection of them. However, they're not very good at handling amperage, and what this one particular switch did was it was like off 1 on 2, so it would be 3 positions, and you'd use it for like, I guess you'd use it for high beam, low beams maybe. So like the first switch would be low beams and the second would be high beams or something like, I don't know. I was going to use it for, 1, 2. That's what I was going to do. But the switch is not high amperage enough, so it just welded the little contacts together, and that was the end of that. So I just ended up doing a single on-off switch, and that's going to work fine. But back to this. So in addition to getting most of the wiring done, I put these little anchors, these little door anchors, and then a little bracket up there just to keep it from slamming in too tight. And sort of same thing on this side, keep it from slamming in too tight. But one thing I was worried about is if it was just kind of hanging out and this door were to come slamming shut, something like that might happen. So I was walking over to the garage to go find a solution to that, and what would happen in that. And I was kind of, as I was walking over there to go find a solution, I was thinking to myself, if that were to happen before I find a solution, how in the hell would I get in here? Because like the anchor is all the way down, and how would I get in here? Well, it turns out that as I was walking over there, the wind slammed shut, and sure enough, that happened as I was coming back with this little dude. And so what I ended up having to do is I had to take off like almost this entire door skin so I could reach my hand in around there to undo the thing. So that was both kind of hilarious and tragic at the same time. But anyway, so I found this little doohickey, and this is going to work great. So I just got to put that back all the way, slide this thing in there, and like that. And there you go. Now that can't come out, and that can't slam shut, so that's cool. And then you just come in and you close the door, and there it is. That's it. So that's pretty cool. And then that keeps this from slamming shut. This is a little bit wobbly, a little bit loosey-goosey. Oh well. Let's see. Obviously moved a table saw and other woodworking things. Moved that biodiesel processing thing, which I may or may not ever use. And moved my old, from 1992, Snap-on toolbox that I got when I went to Rankin Industrial Technical Institute in St. Louis, Missouri. That's where I went to college. And but yeah, moved that all over here. That's just full of like bicycle tools. And now with all that stuff moved, let's go see what the garage looks like. Ta-da, look at that. So much room. It's so much less cluttered and a disaster than it was before, right? Yeah, that's where the saw was, and that's where the toolbox was. Yeah, it's kind of a mess. All this oil and all stuff like that. I'm gonna get some, put some shelves up on the walls and lean-to. Put all that stuff in there. Stuff over here that I don't use all that often, I'll put over there. Fuel tanks I can put over there. Oh no, just kind of stuff. I'm thinking I might put that box over there. Those 2 Tesla modules I could put over there too. I'll probably keep them in the garage. Basically, what the main purpose of doing this, one, to give me a little bit more room, but whenever I do start taking the Jeep apart, it's got some big battery boxes that I need to put somewhere, and right there would be a fantastic place for them. And what I could end up doing is making another row of shelves or something up here, and extending this table further out or something. I don't know. And the other thing with the Volkswagen being over here, this has a little power strip on it that I was always keep plugged in over there. And this was just sort of my mobile workstation. Well, I can't do that anymore. So this is going to now live over here, and it'll be great to have that plugged in, because I really use that a lot. In fact, one thing I could do is I could actually make a much better, bigger stationary metalworking table. I might even look into one of those fixture jigs. Those are pretty sweet. They got like all the machined holes in them, and they got the little clamps that you put in the holes. Those are pretty sweet. I might look into that. That would be kind of a cool thing to have over here. And then underneath of it could be my battery boxes, but probably do that after the Volkswagen's done, or at least once those battery boxes, the batteries are put into this. But anywho, that's what I've been up to so far. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. I certainly did. Went over to some friend's house and had a fantastic feast. It was really good. And yeah, so this is Friday. And so tomorrow, I don't know, probably the rest of this evening, I'll go ahead and try and straighten this up. A lot of this stuff can probably get thrown away, honestly. And yeah. All right. We'll talk to you later. Reason number 587 that I love this little tractor. It fits. I can just drive it in there without opening both doors. Cool. That's awesome. Okay. So this is going to be a bittersweet video. I'm a little bit nervous, and trepidation, I think, is a good word for it. Tesla Jeep is going to be taken apart. The plan for the next rest of the day is to get all the batteries out of it, get the drive unit out of it, basically take everything out of it that is part of a 400 volt EV conversion. So DC-DC converter, charger, possibly the battery management system. I don't know. But definitely get the batteries and the drive unit out, because if you haven't been following my videos, all of it is going to go in this. Well, that's not exactly true. The drive unit that's in this, which I will show you here in a minute via the power of editing, is a large drive unit out of a Tesla Model S. Some of the Tesla Model S's, in particular the dual motor ones, the rear drive unit was actually smaller. So there was a small drive unit and a large drive unit. This is the large drive unit. It's got as much as 500 and something horsepower. I never had actually turned it up full speed on the Jeep, because the Jeep still has the factory differentials, and I didn't want to tear anything up. I only ever had it up to about 300 or so. The small drive unit is 250 horsepower, I think, and it's also about 100 pounds less weight. So instead of putting that large drive unit in this little bitty 2,000 pound truck, I've got a guy in Texas, Austin, Texas, Kevin who is going to do me a trade. So I'm going to send my drive unit down to him, and he's going to send a small drive unit up to me. That's going to be a much better fit for this little truck. 250 horsepower will be 5 times what this had from the factory. Yeah, that'd be more than enough. And all those batteries that are in here are going to fit in this thing, believe it or not. 6 of them will go up in front, and the rest of them will actually go behind where the rear axle will be, rear tires will be. So, all right, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Oh, once this Jeep is all taken apart, and once the Volkswagen is done, which will be a while, I'm going to take all the components that were in a little Ranger EV conversion that I did years and years and years ago, 9 years ago. This is actually the motor for it right there. I'm going to put that motor and 144 volt battery pack into the Jeep. So instead of having 300 horsepower, the Jeep's going to have about 70. So it's a significant downgrade, but it'll be enough. It won't be fast anymore, but it'll be good enough, and it'll be considerably lighter, probably 800 pounds lighter I'll probably take the lift off of it and put more factory skinnier tires on it to try and make it a little bit more efficient. It's never going to be efficient, but I can probably make it a little better. Anyway, here we go. All right, progress is moving along quite nicely. I've only been at this for about 2 hours or so. I'm not going to say it. So the quote engine bay, obviously empty. If anybody was wondering how in the hell do you get that drive unit in and out, I get it in and out like this. Works quite nice. Pull the old cherry picker in until it's all the way up. Put a little, what do you call those things? Chain pulley thing on it. It drops down through a cool little hole that's in the floor. Normally that hole is covered by, where is it? Hang on a minute. Where is it? Normally that hole is covered by this. That's just a piece of fiberglass that I whipped up. So, and then the carpet falls down on that and you can't see it. And then there's also the center console had to get removed. There's a big old inverter that I got in there because I thought that'd be so useful, and I've used one time. But anyway, yep, that's how that works. So now I'll just go underneath and knock out the pins that are holding this thing in there. The rear mount, you actually have to take it off. It's like in the middle. Yeah, there's one on the right, one on the left, and then one in the back in this particular case. So you actually have to take it off. But anyway, that's what's going to happen. Okay. Well, here we go. Got the motor out. That went out. That came out pretty damn easy. I can tell you it's a whole lot easier taking it out than it is putting it in. But the cool thing is I'll never have to put that back in again. Or is it cool? I don't know. I'm mixed. I really like this thing. It has so much power. But it'll still be cool. Anyway, it's out forever. And I want to clean that thing up, get it shipped on down to Kevin. I briefly considered driving down there. He's in Austin, Texas, and I'm in Middle Tennessee. And that's like a 12-hour drive. So realistically, it's a 13 or 14-hour drive, which means it's a 2-day drive. Do I want to do a road trip? I might want to do a road trip. I don't know. I also got the back battery box out. This is the one that's where the fuel tank was. That's pretty straightforward. I got like a little cheap-ass Harbor Freight transmission lift that is just about strong enough to do that. It's not something I would like to do very many more times. But, as I said before, it's the last time I will have to do it. At least with this battery box. Whenever I reconvert this, since I'm only going to be using 6 cells, there's still 4 where the passenger seat was. I'll show you that in a second. And this has 4. I won't be using those 8 at all. So this engine bay theoretically would be wide open. I could put a little frunk in there, a little front trunk. But what I'd like to do anyway is cut this box in half and only have 2 cells back there. Because one of my biggest problems with this thing, especially doing gnarly off-roading, is that it hung low. It hung real low. So if I could have this cut down to 2 modules instead of 4, that would just help dramatically. That would make my departure angle virtually, infinite. Not infinite, but at least as good as the best Jeeps. So that's pretty good. And then come on back here. I'll show you how this works. So I've got this. There's my subwoofer right there. And that just sort of tilts forward and rests on the center console. And just got a piano hinge up there in front. That's what the amps are mounted to. And then this, of course, is the rear battery box. So there's 4 more modules here. So in the redo, I could put these 4 back here again. Or depending on how much room I've got in the front when I put that other motor up here. Because it's going to be on a transmission. And I mean, I can put that transmission anywhere that I want to. Transmission and transfer case. What I'd like to do is find a transfer case that has like a low first gear and an even lower second gear. I'm thinking that somewhere in the rock crawling community that might be a thing. Or get a transmission from a different vehicle. I don't really care. Transfer case, I mean. Get a transfer case from a different vehicle. And then what I do is just put that motor just couple it directly to the transfer case, and then I could have that thing tucked underneath there really good and have a huge spot over here, and then I could reuse my mounting situation that I had for that, but cut that down to 4 modules instead of 8. So I'd have 4 here and 2 there, and then that whole area back here, I could put some rails up on the side and have like a pull out, put stuff in, and then you could drop the tailgate down, pull that out, put stuff in it, slide it back in there, and that'd be pretty sweet. That'd be really sweet. That's future Bill. Okay, I'm gonna take this one out now, and then I'm just gonna drag this whole, no, I'm not gonna drag this whole thing, because this has actually been the easy part. The hard part now is going through all that wiring that's sort of all jumbled around there, going through there and chasing all that up into underneath the dashboard here, where you can't see anything. Chasing all that wiring to that box right there behind those little relays. That's the control module for this Tesla drive unit, and that is going with the drive unit to Kevin. So got to track all that stuff down and do that. That's going to be kind of a pain in the ass. Maybe not, though. It's actually really not that complicated. It kind of is. There's only like 4 wires that go from this directly to the drive unit, and then there's 6 wires that go over to the throttle pedal over there. I don't know if he needs that throttle pedal or not. There's 6 wires that go over there. There's 2 or 3 wires that go to a forward reverse switch, 2 or 3 that go to a, like call it neutral. I guess you could neutral, so not in forward or reverse, but you actually put it in neutral. And then there's an eco mode, and then there's some CAN bus lines. So it's really not that bad. I just got to trace it back and cut the wires where I can't actually feed them through in full length and label them on both sides, so I know what they are and he knows. And yeah, so that's going to consume the rest of my evening. Get this battery box out and start doing that. So progress is good. All right, guys, that is a full day of work right there. I'm very happy with getting that stuff all out of there. It really wasn't all that big of a deal. This back battery box, the one where the passenger seats were, was kind of a pain. I don't like how I did this. These brackets right there are what the amp rack mounts to. The amps are mounted to a piece of plywood, and they bolt to that, and then those are welded to the battery box, and then the battery box bolts to the body of the Jeep. Further down the road, when I redo the Jeep, I'll just cut these off. I'll keep the mounting points. That'll locate where the amp rack is and keep that all solid, and that'll be fine. It's just, I wish I hadn't done it that way, but I guess I didn't really plan on taking this apart. So you can't really blame me too much. So 4 battery boxes, 4 modules, 8 modules. It's 100 volts, 200 volts. And then each one of these 16 modules is about 50 pounds. So you add up all 16 modules plus all the battery box materials, and you're pretty good into 1,000 pounds worth of batteries and stuff. 300 pounds for a motor, and we have taken about 1,300 pounds out of the old Jeep here. It looks like it's jacked up, but I took some before and after measurements, and the front is about 2 inches higher than before, and the back's about 3 inches higher than before. So I'm a little bit surprised by that. I thought it was quite a bit higher than that, but it's not. I don't know. At this point, it's yeah. So there you go. Pretty good. I'm happy with that. Tomorrow, I'll get out here and start digging into the wiring harness, and we'll get that out. That's going to be kind of a pain, but it'll be less work certainly than today was. I'll have to take the driver's seat out, I'm guessing, and I'll be crawling around on my back under the dashboard for a little while with a flashlight and some wire snips and a label maker. But all right, guys, that's it for now. We'll talk to you later. Well, guys, I'm just going to use this video to wrap it up. like I said before, I got the drive unit out. I took it, cleaned it up a little bit so I can send it off to Kevin, so it looks nice. And I got through the Jeep, and I got all the wiring out that he's going to need for the control box and the wiring that comes from the drive unit to the control box. Pretty straightforward. It was kind of a pain to get up underneath the dashboard and do it, but it was a hell of a lot easier to take it out than it was to put it in. And then I was left with the rest of the day because it actually didn't take very long. And to be quite honest, that I just kind of got winded from doing stuff out here in the garage. Like this whole weekend has been pretty, well, long weekend. This Thanksgiving weekend has been pretty busy between wiring up the lean-to and sort of trying to finish the interior of that up, moving the stuff from here, cleaning this up, taking the Jeep apart, and getting to where I am now. I couldn't really be bothered to do much with this. I did get the spindles out of the parts washer, sort of wash them down a little bit. I need to hit them with a wire brush or find someone that has a sandblast cabinet or get my own. But they need to be cleaned and painted and then new bearings installed in it, because really what I need to do, as much as I need to get the back end done, I need to get the front done. I need to put the new bearings in the spindles. I've got a set of brakes coming, just ordered them. Some nice sexy cross drilled and slotted brakes because, you know, why not? And those along with my hubs that I made. I need to get all that stuff installed. That way I can see how much back spacing I'm going to need, because I will definitely need new tires, because these little 13-inch tires with 4 lugs isn't going to cut it from either the brakes that I'm getting or the 5-lug pattern that I have. So yeah, I guess that's it. I also got new calipers. Basically, it's just a bunch of stuff from BMW 323. They have a 5x120 wheel spacing, lug spacing. So that's just kind of what I went with. And yeah, that's it for now. So certainly more to come now that I can get into this thing hardcore. But all right, well, thanks for watching. See you next time.